everybody, welcome back. You're here at KGTR. We got a special treat for you. I'm Tony. If you haven't already, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. Today we're going to be going over reviewing an old Hip Parader magazine, a metal magazine from the 80s. You remember Circus, Cream, and Hip Parader? You remember all those magazines. They were fun. Well, we're going to cover now the summer of 1988. And in this issue, it's Vocal Gods. All the best singers from all the 80s heavy metal bands, hair metal bands, singers such as Bret Michaels, Rob Halford, Joey Tempest, Steven Tyler, and many more. All right, so sit back, enjoy this. We're going to go over page by page. We're going to be goofing on some bands, commenting on the bands, the outfits, the hair. What were some of your favorite bands of 88? What was happening in 1988? I remember the Monsters of Rock tour was in 1988. I remember Dokken blowing away Scorpions, Metallica, and Van Halen. That's what I remember. I remember George Lynch saying, "Eddie who?" That's what I remember from the... I'm just joking. All right, so sit back and enjoy this issue. It's an awesome issue. So if you're into heavy metal scream, remember the screaming of the 80s metal? I love 80s metal scream. I can't scream. I'm closing in on 60. So, but in the old days, I could scream like Rob Halford. Well, this issue is Vocal Gods. And we're going to cover all your favorite singers of that era. So let's get with it. I'm Tony. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. All right, let's get to it. All right. So here we are. We have, here's the main cover. Hip Parader, Vocal Gods. We got Bret Michaels, Rob Halford. We got Steven Tyler. Look at that. Paul Stanley, Stephen Pearcy of Rat, Lita Ford, King Diamond, Mike Tramp of White Lion, Doro Pesh. I don't know who that singer is. Maybe you guys can tell me below. Dee Snider. We got Brian Johnson. I don't know who that is. We got Jeff Tate of Queensryche. These guys were awesome back in the 80s. Remember, this is the summer of 88. Metal was in full swing. Pretty much it was closing in on the beginning of the end. The summer of 88 was pretty much like the beginning of the end. If you were just coming out in 88, 89, it was too late because grunge was right around the corner. And I think the last metal band, if you want to call it metal, was Guns N' Roses. And Lynch Mob was too little too late. Lynch Mob was like 89, 90, but their album came out like in 1990, I believe. And they were, again, too little too late. They should have been coming out in around 87, 88. But getting back, we got Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. We got Robert Plant, Axl Rose. We're going to cover Michael Sweet, Blackie Lawless of Wasp. Tammy Downey, I don't know who that is. Lizzie Borden, we love Lizzie Borden. That guy can scream. Oh, James Hetfield, Metallica. We got Alice Cooper, Bon Scott. Remember AC/DC? We got Ronnie James Dio, Dave Mustaine, Tom Kiefer, Jack Russell, Sammy Hagar, Mark Storage, Ian Gillian. Look, they left off Don Dokken. How can they have Stephen Pearcy but not Don Dokken? But remember, the summer of 88, I think it was the summer of 86, or the spring of 86, we had Hearing Aid. Remember all those guitar players and vocalists? So that was 86. You had Don Dokken in there. But there's no Don Dokken here for Vocal Gods of 88. So what about that? All right, so let's go ahead and flip through this issue and see what's up. Let's see what's up. All right, so we open it up. Here's an ad from Finland, Stone, between rock and a hard place. So Mechanic. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that is an album, a band, a guitar, but Stone. Maybe it's a band called Stone. All right, so Vocal Gods. Here we go. Here's the index. We got Ozzy. See, they didn't list Ozzy Osbourne in there. So here's the index of what this issue entailed. Let's see what's next. All right, here we go. Ozzy. Now this picture right here looks like for me from the 82 era after Randy died with Brad Gillis. So this right here looks like the 82 era, but I could be wrong. This could be a recent picture of 88. Ozzy Osbourne howling with the loons. So at this time you had Jakey Lee as guitar player, I believe, in 88. I think he was still there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know below. But here we go, howling with the loon. And there's Ozzy with his frosted tips. Look at this beautiful tattoo. What's next? All right, Metal Blonde Bombers. All right, we got Dee Snider right over there. Look at that. Rob Halford, he can swing. I love Joey Tempest. Joey Tempest was very melodic, and he had a great range, and oh, he was awesome. Joey Tempest was really, really good. Joey Tempest, as you know, was from Rat. So Twisted Sister, D. Snyder, he mostly screamed and yelled, but he was good. Rob Halpern had some good pipes, but Joey Tempest, I love Joey Tempest. I can't say enough about Joey Tempest. One of my favorite 80s metal singers. I would say for me, top 5. I would put him up there with Jeff Tate. Joey Tempest is awesome. If you don't believe me, go just check out any Europe album with Joey Tempest. Even Joey Tempest solo, his range is just up there, and his vibrato, and his Joey Tempest is awesome. All right, look at this, Metal Blonde Bombers. Remember Poison, Bret Michaels? Now, when he came out, they were comparing him to Vince Neil of Motley Crue and David Lee Roth, obviously because he was blonde, skinny bod. Look at that, had the little body of David Lee Roth. But Bret Michaels wore a lot of makeup with the band Poison. He had a good vocal range, not like a Jeff Tate or what's his name, Joey Tempest. But Bret Michaels is good. Here we go, Rock Top Rules and T-shirts. I'm hearing some metal T-shirts we got right there. All right, what's next? Vocal Men in Action. All right, here we got David Coverdale. We have Sammy Hagar, and we have Bruce Johnson, I think. Can't read that far. Bruce Johnson of AC/DC. Here we got Alice Cooper. We got Vince Neil, and here we have Quiet Riot's Paul Shortlands. So Kevin DuBrow was already out of. I want to say he was already out of Quiet Riot, but here we have Quiet Riot's Paul Shortlands. So, oh yeah, forgot about Kevin DuBrow. Kevin DuBrow could sing, but I don't know what he was doing in '88. Maybe he already left or got booted out of Quiet Riot. All right, more vocal men in action. We got Stephen Pearcy of Rat. Rat was huge in '88. There again, you got Ozzy Osbourne, and there you got Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin right here, doing his solo projects right there. So the look that attracts center stage attention. So if you want to look like a slut, metal groupie, women, look, you got leopard, zebra print skirts, high fishnet stockings. All back in the early high school, early years of 80s, a lot of the guys wore this type of stuff. It was a look, you know, you're a headbanger, and you wore these bracelets, these, I don't know what you call them, those armbands. But it was so much fun going to 80s concerts and then coming back with a black t-shirt, a black concert tour t-shirt of Judas Priest, Ozzy or Dokken, whoever you went to. You always had to buy the obligatory black concert t-shirt, and then on the back of it had all the tour dates on it. It listed the album cover on the front or on the back with the band members, and then all the tour dates of that year. I missed those shirts. I remember I had a tooth and nail. I had a tooth and nail, or Dokken and Dio, because I went to Dokken and Dio. I also had a Rat one. I didn't go to too many concerts, but the ones that I did, I loved it. So here again, if you want to look like a slut, a whore, an 80s metal whore. And it was fun because in high school, you would see everybody back in 83, 84, the girls wearing stuff like that. I loved it though. That was the greatest era. Vocal femme fatales, all right? Look at this. And I can't read that far, but obviously this is, there's Wendy O, Sylvia LaCroix. I think this is Anne Boylan. And this is Lita Ford. Now again, 80s chicks and bands were trying to compete with the metal genre. And some of the Vixen. So they did pretty good for themselves. They were fun to look at. A lot of glam and hair metal. Look at this look. That could be a guy right there. That's a woman. So, and very androgynous. Alright, again, here Warlock's Doro Pesch. Remember I said earlier, who's Doro Pesch? So here's a chick, Doro Pesch, Warlock. So she was good because the band was good. Look at that beautiful pendant or amulet. What is that, a necklace? A pendant? An amulet? What would you call that? Look at this bad makeup right here. She got some blue eyeliner or mascara. I don't know what this is called. What's this called? Eye color, eyelash? Not eyelash. These are eyelashes. Makeup tips with no blush. What do you call this? Anyways, eyeshadow. Yeah, eyeshadow. Look at this. Blue eyeshadow does nothing for her. She needs to have red lipsticks right here. Red lipstick. She needs some foundation right here. Some concealer. I love it. Makeup tips with Tony, circa 1988. All right, so here you go. We want to get some necklaces, some chains, pendants right here. So there's a flying V. There's a warlock. There's that little makeshift cross right there, peace signs and so forth. So metal jewelry was all the rage in the 80s. All right, readers' comments. So if you had comments back then, there was no internet. So you literally would have to put a postcard or a letter, seal it, put a stamp on it, address it to the editor of this magazine, and hope that someone reads it, and then maybe you'll be lucky enough for them to publish it. So these are readers' comments. So if you mailed your snail mail comments, this is where to check it. There's a good pose of Rob Halpert. Now this picture looks like from 82, because the Screaming for Vengeance tour, this is right out of the Screaming for Vengeance tour based on the haircut. So I think by 88 he already had longer hair. So I'm just giving you some more fashion tips of the 80s. Come to me for this channel for 80s metal 80s metal fashion tips. All right, here we go. Jeff Tate, and I guess that's Lita Ford. She was good, great guitar player, but Jeff Tate, look at that rooster haircut, the rooster. He could sing. Jeff Tate, you would not want to mess around with Jeff Tate. He can hold a note really high, perfect pitch, didn't waver, great vibrato. And that was like the rage. Remember there were like metal guitar gods? These are vocal gods. This issue is about vocal gods. So if you have the pipes, because some bands didn't have like great guitar players, but you came for the vocalist. Like Queensryche, you went for Jeff Tate because he could sing, and they had great band members to support Jeff Tate. But it was Queensryche. But he was Queensryche. Jeff Tate was that vocal range. Europe, you went for either John Norum on guitar, or you went for Joey Tempest singing and so forth. Van Halen, you went for obviously Eddie because he was Eddie Van Halen, but you went to go see David Lee Roth. And then when Sammy Hagar came out, then you were watching Eddie and not Sammy Hagar. You didn't come to go see Sammy Hagar. You went to go see Eddie Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. So I'm just letting you know what's up. All right, here we go. Michael Schenker. And who's this guy? I forgot his... I've seen him before. I forgot where he's from. Oh yeah, this is from MSG. So this is the Michael Schenker group. I'm like, who is this? So he's with the Michael Schenker group. So if you want to subscribe to Hit Parader, subscribe now. I'm like, where have I seen this? Oh wait, either from Icon or MSG. There's a guy who looks like from Icon that looks just like him, but Icon wasn't around in '88. So this guy clearly was with Michael Schenker, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong below. All right, hey, Big Mouth. Okay, these guys, look at that. Look at this. Now, Steven Tyler had one of the biggest mouths along with Mick Jagger. Look at that. When he opened up his mouth, can you imagine being his dentist? Look at that. Big mouth right there. And so you got Jeff Tate. You got Brian Johnson. And you got Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. Look at the little, these things that dangle with the microphone. He looked good. But Jeff Tate, all these guys could sing. He screamed, he sang. See the difference? He would sing, or scream, but he would sing. Look at Stephen Pearcy, look at that. Who didn't love Rat? Rat was, obviously, I prefer Dokken, but Rat had much more success than Dokken. Rat was headlining by 84, 85. And Dokken didn't get to start headlining until 88, and they broke up in 88. So right when they were about to headline or headlining a few shows, they broke up. Dokken did. But Rat, they hit it big with their debut album. And then they started touring, opening up for other bands. And they had a mass following because they wrote good tunes. And Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby and Stephen Pearcy Oh, Rat was an awesome band. I always put Rat and Dokken neck and neck, but I always preferred Dokken. But George Lynch and Warren DeMartini were neck and neck. Oh, they were like awesome. All right, Metal Haven. So again, look at this. P.O. Box 274. So here it probably says allow 4 to 6 weeks to get something in the mail. John Bon Jovi, the man behind the face. He's a good singer. Not a great singer, but he's a good singer. See, there's good and there's great, right? But he's a good singer. I'm not knocking him. I just was never a fan of Bon Jovi, the band. So they were like too bubblegum to me. They weren't like metal. They were in the metal genre, just like Night Ranger wasn't, quote, metal. They were in the metal genre, but they were like light metal. Night Ranger was like Journey. Bon Jovi was like Journey, Night Ranger type of metal. Not like heavy in your face, like Dokken or Rat or White Lion. So that's just my opinion on Bon Jovi. But they were good. They were good, and they were headlining also early. I remember they opened up for Dokken, who opened up for Dio. That's what we went to go see in '84. It was Bon Jovi opened up for Dokken, who opened up for Dio. And by '85, '86, Bon Jovi's already headlining, and Dokken's still opening for other bands. So, but the frontman, John Bon Jovi, the girls loved him. So they sold a lot of albums and records and concerts because of him. Not because of John Bon Jovi, not because of Richie Sambora, but because of John Bon Jovi. He sold the tickets, and he wrote some good tunes. Right. David Lee Roth. Look at that look right here. This is a far cry from David Lee Roth of '78. Here he's all modern, more well-established, more experienced. But in '78, '79, he was hungry. So totally two different personas here in '88 versus '78. That's also 10 years. So this is David Lee Roth, Diamonds and Rust. So this David Lee Roth was an entirely different David Lee Roth than the '78, '79 David Lee Roth. To me, that was like the pinnacle David Lee Roth. But he was still chugging along saying, hey, eat 'em and smile. I'm not in Van Halen. I got my David Lee Roth band. I got Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan. What's up? What's up? That's what he said. Then I have Jason Becker. So what's up? So David Lee Roth did pretty well for himself. All right, power metal frontman. This is Grim Reaper. I always remember that one video, See You in Hell. Look it up, Grim Reaper, See You in Hell, or something like that. Or Go to Hell, or See You in Hell. That's all they say. I'll see you in hell. He's a little short, fat guy, like 4'10" or something like that. I'm joking. But he was like short and fat for the video, and he just kept yelling, see you in hell. Look at that video. I think it's called See You in Hell, Grim Reaper. It's a great video. The band's good. I'm just making fun of the video because it was like, what the hell? Because remember, I was in the Dokken, Van Halen, Scorpions, and then you had this guy, see you in hell. Can you imagine Van Halen having a song, see you in hell, but or Motley Crue? No, they talked about chicks or love or whatever. And here's Grim Reaper, Steve, what's his name? Steve Grimmel, see you in hell. I need to look this up. After this issue, look up Grim Reaper, see you in hell. Or the video, yeah, you'll see the video. So here we go, Megadeth's Dave Mustaine. Look at this, Flying V. Again, this is made popular with Randy Rhoads. Remember Randy Rhoads Jackson? And then everybody started getting the Flying V. Vinnie Vincent with the Flying V, a la Randy Rhoads. There's Dave Mustaine, Flying V, a la Randy Rhoads. There's Kirk Hammett playing the famous Explorer, made famous by Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick, I think, mostly played Explorers, but his was Hammer, and then, which I love Hammer. And then this is Gibson, obviously, I think. So what else? Anthrax, Joey Belladonna. Great band. He screamed a lot. I'm not saying that's bad, because obviously these are vocal gods. But they're singers and they're screamers. And Joey Tempest, he's a singer. But he can hit those high notes. But he was a singer. So that's the difference right there. Right, again, more treats right here, necklaces and so on and so forth. All right, indie vocalists. So here we have, I can't pronounce that, from former Riot frontman. Let me look at, I'm gonna get closer here. Fishman and Johnson, Lillian Ack. So these vocalists were different than the power metal. They were indie vocalists. So look them up. Again, I can't read that. Fishman and Johnson. This is Lillian Axe. And Rhett Forrester, I think it is. So there's that. Right here's Motley Crue's Vince Neil. Right there. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look good? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So now we're back. So we have Orthon. We have Les Carlson and Tommy G. Warrior. Celtic Frost. Bloodgood. Valerie. Best in the West. So here we have Faster Pussycat. And here we go. I love Black and Blue. Oh, Black and Blue. James St. James. Oh, James St. James was good. They disappeared. Black and Blue was awesome. I love Black and Blue. Oh, they were so good. All right, look at this guitar right here. Look, this guitar back in '88, it still sells. Look, reverse Jackson right here. But look at this shape. Isn't that a beautiful shape? Oh, I love this guitar right here. I don't care for the paint graphics, but this shape, I love this shape. Striper's Michael Sweet. Again, he's a singer. He can belt it out like Jeff Tate. He can belt it out like Joey Tempest. Michael Sweet is an awesome singer. Also, though, there's some ballads that he sings that remind me of Dennis DeYoung from Styx, Desert Moon. If you listen to Styx, Desert Moon, you'll hear Michael Sweet in that voice, and vice versa. And whenever you hear their Michael Sweet's ballads, I always think of Dennis DeYoung from Styx, Desert Moon. So if you don't believe me, let's go listen to Styx, Desert Moon, and tell me you don't hear Michael Sweet. Or look at Guns N' Roses. When they were good, when they came out, they were, again, these guys were hungry when they came out. The first two albums, they were really good, and then they got big really fast. They let themselves go. You know, they let themselves go. But they were good. I'm not knocking them. Guns N' Roses were good. And when they came out, a lot of bands, when they come out, they're either happy to be there or they're hungry to make it big. And some bands got it, some bands don't. And that's why some bands don't last. Like Icon. Icon was really good. And they disappeared after a few albums. Same with Black and Blue. Black and Blue I thought was really good. They were right there in '84. Same with Autograph. They had like one-hit wonders and they disappear. So that's sad. All right, Best in the West. So here we have Tesla. This guy can sing too. He was a screamer. Not a singer, but a screamer. And Blackie Lawless. So we have Wasp and we have Tesla. Who doesn't love Tesla? Tesla is awesome. We love Tesla. Vocalist at Play. So here we have Jolyn Tyler. Was that her name? Oh, Joe Tyler. I think it's Joe Tyler from Rainbow. And then Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. And we have Ozzy right here. So that's pretty good right there. Right. There we got Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. We have Vince Neil. And who's this? Oh, we got Don Dokken. Here's Don Dokken. Look how skinny he was, Don Dokken. This is '88. This is during the Monsters of Rock tour. And then we have this guy is from Kix, I think. Crocus. No, this guy is the singer from Crocus. So there's the singer from Crocus. I don't know where she's from. And there's Ronnie James Dio. So if you know who she is, let me know below. Here we have Tommy Lee and Ozzy. And here we have Vince Neil. I want to say that's some Black and Blue. I don't know who these guys are. You know who they are? Let me know. Continental vocalists. So these are vocalists from overseas. Obviously, we love Klaus Meine. And then we have Halloween's Michael Kaki. Anyway, so we have the lead singer for Halloween, and we have the lead singer for Scorpions. Again, the 80s were badass. You either had the hair, the glam, the awesome lead vocalist, or the awesome guitar player. Or you had basically the magic chemistry about having everything, like a Van Halen, like a Scorpions, like a Def Leppard. They weren't known for their guitar solos. They weren't known for the lead singer. Def Leppard wrote awesome songs as a band, and they, lasted for years, well past 80s metal. So some bands have that one star you go see, guitar player or vocalist, or as a band, they're really good. All right, here's Whitesnake's David Coverdale, Def Leppard's Joe Elliott. Great singer, great stage presence, both of these people. Beautiful, long, flowing blonde hair. More of the fashion icon here. This one just pretty much dressed in torn jeans. No leather, but hey, we're a good band. We're Def Leppard. Come watch us. All right, here we got Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, and here we got Crocus. Mark Storis or something like that. So Crocus is good. I just didn't care for that's a stupid name, Crocus. They could have come up with any other name but Crocus. But they were okay metal band, but I wouldn't go pay to go see them unless they were opening up a really good band that I had to go see. I'm not knocking Crocus. I just wasn't a big fan of Crocus. But they got some good stuff. They have some good rhythms. All right, Steven Tyler, The Legend Speaks. So if you're a fan, look at that. They came out in the 70s. Rocks. Remember that? What was that album called? Rocks? Diamond Rocks or something like that? I don't know. Aerosmith was awesome in the 70s, and they basically pulled it out to become more metal-ish in the 80s. In 87, they blew up again in 87 with their Monster album and hits. It wasn't like metal, but it was like heavy rock. And they stood the test of time. They lasted through the 70s, and they joined into the 80s. So there they were. All right, Long Live Rock. Here we got more vocal legends. Obviously, you got the legendary Robert Plant. And then you have Deep Purple's Ian Gillan. This guy can sing. They both can sing. A lot of people try to emulate and copy Robert Plant, the lead vocalist right now for Greta Van Fleet, and the lead singer for, I forgot his name, of Kingdom Come. And the lead singer of, what's that band called? Say What You Will. Fastway, yeah. So the lead singer of Fastway, I've emulated Robert Plant. The lead singer of Greta Van Fleet emulates Robert Plant. And the lead singer of Kingdom Come emulates Robert Plant. They just do. So that's a tribute. Alright, Ronnie James Dio made a name for himself after Ozzy. Alice Cooper. This guy influenced a lot of bands, a lot of guitar players. Randy Rhoads loved seeing Alice Cooper. So did Van Halen. And so there he was in the 70s before Kiss with his makeup. Kiss started putting on makeup. And then there's Alice Cooper doing it in the 70s and the 80s. So Alice Cooper, I never saw Alice Cooper, but he has some good songs, good stage production at the shows. So he was still relevant. And of course, you cannot forget the legendary Paul Stanley. In the mid-late 70s, he had the best vocal range. He could sing really, really good. Obviously, through the decades, he's lost his voice, as with most of the singers. Even, what's his name? John Sebastian, or Sebastian Bach of Skid Row. Oh, he could sing too, but he lost his voice. So here we go. AC/DC right there, Paul Stanley. Oh, song index. So this issue had a song index of lyrics. So I Could Be a Dreamer, Kiss Me Deadly. So here you go. You want to sing with the songs? Karaoke, there you go. These are the dude looks like a lady. So that album that Aerosmith released, where that album blew up, made them more millionaires. Honestly by Striper. So if you hear Honestly, you'll think of Dennis DeYoung, Desert Moon. Just because of the vocal range. Their vocal range is almost identical. Again, Freedom, Welcome to the Jungle. Again, this is the summer of '88. So obviously, they're already out. Young Vocal Lions. Who's this guy? Great White's lead singer. And Ray Gillian. Alright, so here we go. This is Jack Russell, I believe, of Great White. Yeah, so these guys were really good, young and talented, up and coming. Oh, Cinderella. He doesn't really sing, but he screams. But I love his voice because it's so raspy. I mean, I don't know if he did it on purpose or that's the way he sings. But it works for that band and the way he sings. He screams every note. I love it. So it's Tom Keeper. He's right up there. And I guess White Lion, Mike Tramp. He can sing too. Pretty Boy right here. Look, Pretty Boy. Sadly, Beavis and Butthead really ended their career. You all know about that. I forgot. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead with their AC/DC and metal t-shirts. And then you had the loser wearing a Winger shirt. So if you're a fan of Winger, they make fun of you. And so they lost a lot of fans because of Beavis and Butthead. That's true. Look it up. Young Vocal Lions. So here we have King Diamond X. And then we have Lizzie Borden. I love Lizzie Borden. He's right up there with Jeff Tate and Joey Tempest. He can sing really, really, really high and hold a note. He sings really well. So the people don't give him credit. Lizzie Borden. I don't know. It doesn't list his name here. I never forgot his name. But Lizzie Borden, the lead singer for Lizzie Borden, which is him, he's right up there with Jeff Tate and Joey Tempest. Listen to Lizzie Borden. His vocal range is operatic. That's awesome. All right, again, more. Want to order some stuff here. End of the Rainbow. There you go. You can do that right there. Last Licks. Metal's Double Threats. So who is this? Let me see. Ted Nugent. Megadeth. Dave Mustaine. And we have Triumph's Rick Emmett. Metal's Double Threats. Alright, yeah. So let's not forget these guys on guitar. We got Ted Nugent. Legend in the 70s and 80s. We have here Dave Mustaine. Awesome shredder. Great songwriter. And who cannot love Triumph? Triumph. Rick Emmett was Triumph, and he wrote some amazing hits. And that trio is very, very good, loud. I saw them open up. I saw Dokken open up for Triumph. And Triumph is good. I love it. Put on a great show. Rick Emmett is awesome. Look at this ad. Look at that hair. I don't know who this is. That could be, let me see who this is. I wonder if this is the guy who does Metal Method, Doug Marks. I want to say it's Doug Marks. I can't read that far. It could be Doug Marks from, maybe not. But it could be Doug Marks from Metal Method. Let me see. I can't read it. So I don't know who this is, but I love the hair. That's total 80s metal hair. Look at that guitar. Look at that carbon stack. So if you're into carbon amps, and carbon was pretty big in the 80s, there's a nice vintage series right there. And this is the back cover of the summer issue of the 1988 Vocal Gods. So what do you think? That was the Hit Parader magazine Vocal Gods summer of 1988. What were some of your favorite bands of 88? Who were your favorite singers of 88? Leave them below. I can tell you my top 5 based on this issue. Obviously Jeff Tate, Joey Tempest. I have to put Don Dokken in there. You didn't have that range of a Joey Tempest or Jeff Tate, but he's Dokken. I love it. He can hold the melody really well. So I got Jeff Tate, I got Joey Tempest, I got Don Dokken. Who else do I like from that era? Off the top of my head, that I was like, oh, Lizzie Borden. That's number 4. If I had to pick one more, who would it be? As a vocalist, I'm trying to think of the bands now. Oh, okay, James St. James of Black and Blue. Check out Black and Blue. Great stage presence. I love his hair. His singing. I love it. I'm just saying from this issue, those are my top favorite singers, metal singers from this issue. Jeff Tate, James St. James, Joey Tempest, Don Dokken, and did I miss anybody else? That could have been it. All right, I'm Tony. Hope you enjoyed this magazine review. Let me know if you have this issue, if you've seen this issue. What do you think about this issue? This is the summer of '88. You all know if you were back in the 80s, pretty much the summer of '88 was winding down the 80s decade of metal. Because I think the last big band that came out in the 80s was Guns N' Roses. And then right around the corner was that grunge knocking on the door. And if you were lucky enough, you could still compete while grunge was in full swing. And some of the bands did, many disappeared because of grunge. And that'll be for like another video, but it's safe to say that for a good, I would say when the US Festival came out, what was that, 82 or 83? 83? The beginning of 83, when the US Festival came out, that was like a jump start of full 80s heavy metal. Yes, there were 80s metal bands in 82, 81, 80, and so on. I'm just saying, but when that festival kicked off, 80s metal had arrived. So, in my opinion, the US Festival of 83, all those bands, even though there were like 3 days, you had like New Wave Day, maybe a punk rock day or something like that. I know you had a New Wave Day and a metal day, but during the metal day, when you had Ozzy, Scorpions, Van Halen, Triumph, Motley Crue, who else? I may be missing a couple of bands. Def Leppard, I don't know. But the US Festival kicked off 80s metal because then everybody started, you had the Twisted Sisters, you had the Ozzies, you had the Dawkins and the Rats, and then you have Black and Blue, this is already 1984, then you had Autograph, and then you just had the Bon Jovis, and then gradually had the Stripers, and then the beginning of the hair metal bands of to me 80s metal, even though there was 80s metal in 80 to 89, it kicked off for me, in my opinion, when the US Festival was in full swing. 80s metal was here, and you just started going to concerts and looking at MTV. MTV was the place to be because that's where you got to see all your favorite bands, and then you would see their hit singles and you go out and buy the albums and so forth. Right. Let me know your thoughts on the summer of 1988 issue, or in general the summer of 88 or 80s metal. What were your favorite bands? Did you already give up on metal? Were you full swing metal? Were you in bands? What were you doing in the summer of 88? For me, I was dreaming I could have gone to Monsters of Rock. I didn't go, but I had the next best thing. I had Beast from the East, Dokken, that was released in Japan, or that was recorded in Japan, and that was in 88, before the summer Monsters of Rock tour, but that was the closest thing I could get to Dokken live, and I'm glad they released that live album. I think that was their last album. Yeah, Beast from the East was their last album they put out in the 80s, because remember, they came back with a reunion in 95, 94, 95 with Dysfunctional and all that. I'm not including the 90s. But so 88 was a great year for metal, but to me it was like the beginning of the end. Was the summer of 88. When it was the fall of 88, that was it. You better, make your money while you can, because grunge is knocking and no one's going to be promoting you, and people are going to be tired of you, and it's like excess, it's too much, and that's just the way it is. Alright, I'm Tony. Thanks for sticking around for this issue. Stay tuned for more guitar tones, more Metal Mag reviews, and more concert reviews. Alright, any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. Alright, I'll see you all in the next video.